name is Linda Bell. I am the founder of Bell Tech Communications. And what we're here to do is take this world into the next level of generation of communications for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. So my background is with sign language interpreting. I grew up with a mother who was deaf. I went to a school here called Mott Community College, took their sign language interpreting program, and from there I established a sign language interpreting service because I wanted to merge communications with deaf people and hearing people. The issues that we're having is that we can speak to the deaf people, but they can't hear us. So what this is telling us is that we have an application that can take a deaf person who can speak to a hearing person, and a hearing person then comes back to speak to the deaf person, and you see a blockage where they can't speak to them because they can't hear them. We have a solution for that. The isolation and the deeper issues that we're having is that the society is not learning how to be more accommodatable. We're trying to fix the deaf people instead of giving ourselves or empower the community to give deaf people an opportunity to speak to us in a sign. The solution is we have developed a Bell Tech Cloud, which means we have developed an application where deaf people can speak to you and you can speak back to them through our Bell Tech Cloud communication. It's an application that has not only speaking and text, it has American Sign Language in it. If someone would come into the building and they wanted to speak to you and they were deaf, you can communicate with them with our app. It goes both ways. It's 24/7. It's an inclusive app. It takes away all the stigmas that we can't speak to deaf people and deaf people can't understand us, and it increases employability. I'm going to turn it over to Cliff, and he's going to talk about the potentials. I'll hold the buttons.
Okay. I'm not going to bore you with how we got all these averages, but they're all regulatory from the Census Bureaus, et cetera. In Michigan alone, we have in deaf, hard of hearing to a disability level, and at 427,000 people and an average of 3 support members within a family or friends group. So it ends up being, the point here is we have item to item, 1,708,000 people in Michigan who need help from us. They know how to talk to each other. Trust me, it's happening right now. And the average first year revenue based on a $1,200 hit is about $1,537,000,000, and we're paying twice that now to service them because we're using landline interpreters. The primary focuses here, the competitive market issues, are only live interpreters on the computer interpreters. The primary focus is in education, which is a 1-to-1 ratio between you and a computer. That's not conversation. So we're going to change all that. This market is well defined. It's already there. We don't have to look for distributors. We don't have to look for dealers. We don't have to look for people who sell technology into healthcare or hospitals, et cetera. They're all there now. We don't have to make up this part. The need is visible, well-defined, and acknowledged. Even the state has just released a 50-page report 2 months ago. It points right to these problems we just told you about. We can use devices, and we can use any type of computer to manage this form in business, social, and educational environments. Linda Bell, her idea. I just happened to walk in on the pitch. Okay? Me, I've been around since punch cards. And Dan Curran, engineer, hardware, electronics, and IT, is from Kettering. And the need is defined. It's been validated by every research state in the nation, and we have a solution for it. Thank you for that. There are folders on the table back there, which will give you a picture and a little more broader sense to that. If you'd like to stop, pick them up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice job.
Cliff, I had a few people pull out their phone and Google to find out what a punch card was. So with that, I'm going to come over to the judges. If you guys have any questions you'd like to start with.
Do you have a prototype that's been validated?
It's been designed but not built.
Okay.
Oh. It's been designed but not built. We are sitting on, at this moment, multiple The technology exists, but it doesn't exist in a package. It exists in 4 or 5 different industries that we have to pull out and then integrate because they're standardizing all the none of this stuff was made with communication devices on it. So we have to pull it out, integrate it, and make it work, and there's new standards coming out, so we didn't want to jump into the prototype, which can be made very quickly because we have the pieces now selected. But no, we do not have it yet, but it will be available very soon.
Is there any kind of like government approval once you put it together to say that this is a like FDA approved, something like that device for
You don't have to FDA approve your own communication. And
I'm just saying, is there any type of
no,
additional testing or proving that needs to be done?
We're going to be pushing this through. There's a medical certification for interpretation. There's a legal certification for interpretation, but it's state by state, it varies. So it's really just a matter of we're going after the social aspect and the educational aspect first. Then we'll work into those issues after we prove the concept with prototype. But these databases of these things, certified or not, are in existence. The actual content already exists. It's just a matter of porting it in and testing it.
I have a question for you. I believe there are multiple variations of sign language. So,
That is correct.
so what variation are you moving
That is correct.
towards?
Well, right now we're working towards those who are hearing impaired but have a voice. They can speak. And there are people who have onset hearing loss due to age or ASL or anything like that. So we're trying to capture those people first because that application can prove to us that we can get the interpretation from the ASL to text to voice. So we want those that can.
It is the ASL language, and there are very dialects of that. You've got fish and chips in Britain is different than fish and chips
Yes.
here. But
in American.
what was going to happen when this takes place is ASL is going to become more dominant, even in offshore, because interpreting German to English text is relatively easy. Well, once we've got it to English text, it goes into ASL versus British or German. And
So you can get it in variations.
But there will have to be dialects, and contextual issues. Another question?
I'm going to ask a question, and maybe I didn't catch this, but what is it exactly? Is it an app? Is it a hardware piece? Is it an algorithm, or what are you creating?
Yes. We have taken technology out of 5 different industries. None of them have communication capabilities. The communication pieces are changed. You've got Android, iOS, Windows, and we're aiming towards just a tablet and the small hand pieces right now. But what we're doing is we're pulling them out and making them communicate with each other in a standardized as possible format. And that, I'd be happy to talk, tell you a little more about it, but it's basically, the technology exists. It's not where you can pick it up and buy it. I have to buy something else and take it out of it, and then integrate them together into this answer. But it is a software application of components that requires specialized, customized hardware in some cases, but not all. So,
The follow-up question would be, when could you have that working?
When could I have it working? Yeah. If I had the money for the prototype operation, 90 days.
Another question, apologies. Who is it that you see as being your first consumer for this? Is it an individual? Is it an institution? You said the whole info.
The Hands and Voices is a nonprofit out of Denver, Colorado that has 35,000 families with deaf children. Their leader here in Michigan is going to be our first test on the prototype, and then it will permeate back through that. And they already have 35,000 plus the three per. And the younger they are with children that are deaf, the more friends and family they have. It will buy.
So then it would be individual users that would license it?
Yes.
Okay.
And also audiology dealers, the Hear USA network group, their local chapter here is going to be one of our advisors on the use of the functionality peoples.
Last question real quick was about your revenue model. You had $1,200 per customer. How did you come up with that lifetime value?
The average, okay, this is the low-end price for the unit based on what they're paying now for interpretive services live and online. The online services are 20 cents a minute, which is 12 bucks an hour, at 1 hour a day is $4,378 a year. And then next year you pay the same $4,378 again. With this you don't. You buy it for, the list price will be $19.95, 45% of the cost now of using the cheapest way to do it. And the cheapest way is online, which is only used by 5 to 10% of the deaf community. They don't like it. They want a live interpreter. But in Michigan, unfortunately, we have one interpreter for every 876 deaf people, which means less than 1% are getting served every day. This takes away that. Plus, when you're done using it for that 1 hour a day, you got 23 more hours to use it and learn things with it.
Awesome. Big round of applause for Bell Tech.
Could we also give a round of applause for this mother who is interpreting for her son? Thank you.